The last time world champion Adonis Stevenson stepped into the PBC ring, it was pure dominance.
Oh, nice shot. Oh, it's over.
Tonight, the fighter known as Superman is home in Quebec, looking to build on his 14-fight win streak in a light heavyweight showdown with hard-hitting Thomas Williams Jr. This is Premier Boxing Champions live on Spike.
Quebec City, the capital of Canada's largest province, Quebec, illuminating the St. Lawrence River as day turns to night. PBC on Spike making the Videotron Center our home this evening. Earlier this week, I'm told Bryan Adams had fans like these on their feet. Tonight's heaven in the form of a title fight rather than the title song. But you can expect the same result. Good evening and welcome, or as they say here in Quebec, where the official language is French, bonsoir, bienvenue. I'm Dana Jacobson, and I'll be your host for the next 2 hours of Premier Boxing Champions here on Spike. Quebec just happens to be a hotbed for light heavyweight talent. That includes two of the fighters that you'll be seeing here tonight, Adonis Stevenson and Eleider Alvarez. Stevenson, you know, the WBC light heavyweight champion, making his 7th title defense, this time going up against Thomas Top Dog Williams Jr. in our main event. Stevenson arriving in a place that he knows awfully well. It's just about 3 hours from home to make the trip here to the Videotron Center. He is quite confident in front of what you could call the hometown fans. He knows his opponent is hungry and motivated, but no shock, his prediction for tonight, I'm gonna knock this guy out. As for Williams Jr., he's relishing the role of the underdog. He says as long as he believes he can win, no one else has to. He's coming off a knockout win over Edwin Rodriguez 3 months ago. As for the layoff for Adonis Stevenson, much longer actually, almost 11 months since we last saw him fight. That was back on September 11th of last year, and it was also here on PBC on Spike. In Toronto, Stevenson taking on Tommy Karpency, and he dominated this one. A 3rd-round TKO victory, his 6th title defense. The WBC light heavyweight champ remains. After that fight, Stevenson was calling for the unification bout that we all want to see, taking on Sergey Kovalev. No doubt you heard the buzz about that, and no doubt you know that fight still hasn't been scheduled. So after tonight, the WBC says he needs to ready for the mandatory challenger. Enter Eleider Alvarez. That's the other light heavyweight fighter from Quebec that I mentioned earlier. He's got a catchweight bout tonight against Robert Berridge. That's because his original opponent, Chad Dawson, went out last week with injury. Doesn't matter the circumstance, though. Alvarez knows with that title shot looming, tonight isn't just about getting a win, it's about making an impression. Time now to go ringside for 3 guys that always make an awfully good impression. Scott Hansen, Art Champ, Antonio Tarver, and Jimmy Smith.
Bonsoir, Dana. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to be ringside with you for another PBC on Spike broadcast. Depending on the rankings that you trust, we have 3 of the top 12 light heavyweights in the world in the ring here tonight, including a belt on the line. I turn to one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time, Antonio Tarver, for a breakdown of the champ. Adonis Stevenson has not lost in 6 years. He's fighting in his backyard. He's a heavy favorite tonight. What does he need to do to avoid a letdown?
Scott, what he's going to have to do is fight from that Eiffel Tower that he sits. He's going to have to fight with an air of superiority tonight. He cannot allow Thomas Williams to get any confidence. He's going to have to show who's the boss from start to finish tonight.
Thomas Williams Jr., we talk about boxer versus puncher. This is puncher versus puncher. He says, I have a lot of respect for the left hand of Adonis Stevenson. I know he has power, but his style is to walk in and brawl. We saw that against Edwin Rodriguez. He was knocked down, ended up winning by knockout. A tough, gritty guy who throws a lot of punches. The question is, can he move his head enough? Can he show enough defense to stay in this fight long enough to wear down the champ? That's the question tonight for the underdog.
It would be more of a shock if this thing went 12 rounds than it would be if it went 1 round. What we're saying is buckle up when the main event comes. Meanwhile, in the co-main event, another light heavyweight showdown. It'll be at catchweight at 180, but Eleider Alvarez thinks, where's my respect? I'm undefeated. He's beaten some opponents before. He wants to prove that he's ready for a title shot.
You're right, Scotty. He's going to have to fight from the shadows tonight. He's trying to get away from his stablemates. He has 2 champions in that division. You know, Better be as well as Superman Stevenson. How do you get time? You get time by looking impressive tonight, and he may be the mandatory challenger if he can look good tonight and win.
And Robert Berridge is the kind of guy who's going to stand in front of you. And for a boxer like Alvarez to look good, he needs somebody in there who's going to take those punches, going to be there to hit. Robert Berridge is a brawler from New Zealand. He's going to come in, throw big punches. He's the kind of guy that's going to make a fight out of it. It's going to look impressive. It's going to be tonight.
Something to watch for. Alvarez says he has the best jab in the world at light heavyweight.
That's a bold statement.
That's a bold statement. You guys can diagnose that coming up in just a minute. We take you now live into the locker rooms as the fighters are ready for the co-main event. There is Robert Berridge. You said he's from New Zealand. He is just from New Zealand. Flew in just a few days ago. His body thinks it's Saturday afternoon.
Oh my God.
Meanwhile, his opponent, Eleider Alvarez, undefeated at 19-0, wants to knock Berridge into Saturday afternoon. The co-main event is ready on the other side of this timeout. Live in Quebec City, Quebec. One of the oldest cities in North America, founded a little after 1600. Beautiful city in French Canada. And we are inside of one of the most beautiful arenas that the country of Canada has to offer for sports, the Videotron Center. We are ready for the co-main event. Alvarez on the right side of your screen, Berridge on the left. The tail of the tape is brought to you by Corona, who brings you the best in boxing. It's a light heavyweight bout, but it's at a catchweight with the last-minute opponent change for Alvarez. Berridge allowed to come in under 180, the catchweight, so 179 and 178, the fighters' weights respectively. A considerable height and reach advantage for the undefeated Alvarez. Time now for the crowd here to meet the fighters, and for that we go to ring announcer Roland Mayotte.
In the red corner, fighting out of Albany, New Zealand, with a record of 27 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. Dans le coin rouge, d'Albany, en Nouvelle-Zélande, avec une fiche de 27 victoires, 21 par mise hors de combat, 4 défaites et 1 verdict nul. Robert the Butcher Berridge. And in the blue corner, dans le coin bleu, fighting out of Montreal, Quebec, with a record of 19 wins, 10 by knockouts, no losses. Et dans le coin bleu de Montréal, avec une fiche de 19 victoires, 10 par mise hors de combat, aucune défaite. Eleider Storm Alvarez.
Listen, gentlemen, I want a good, clean fight. Remember, protect yourself at all times and obey my command at all times, okay? This is good right here. This is good right here, okay? Anything below that is low. Anything below this is low. Okay, guys? Touch them up. Let's go.
Referee Marlon Wright giving the instructions. We take a look at the rules for the fight, which have one little different twist here in Canada. We'll be using the Quebec rules, which is no standing 8 count, no 3. There is a 3 knockdown rule. That is the major change. In the event of an accidental foul, we will go to the scorecards after 4 rounds complete. You cannot be saved by the bell in any round. We are ready for the co-main event. The bell rings, and it's time for a statement. So says the man in the black trunks with the black trim, Eleider Alvarez. Guys, he says, look, he knows that the boxing world will look at him
with a last-minute change of opponent, a guy who flies in from New Zealand for this fight, and they'll look at it like it's got to be a walkover. He says he wants to set up that fight with Adonis Superman Stevenson if Superman can take care of business in the main event. To do that, he needs to do what?
Well, of course, he has to impress. I mean, even though, you know, it's hard to impress with a guy that you haven't had a chance to really put under that microscope. But boxing is boxing. This man got two hands. He can't throw but one at a time. So the bottom line is you got to get the job done.
Well, he's got a very educated lead hand. I like his jab. I like his lead hook. He needs to use those weapons to get Berridge off balance, which he often is if he's going to land that knockout shot. Get him off balance and finish him.
Educated lead hand.
Yeah,
the
very
left,
good.
the jab. He says it's the best in the division.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know too many people that's made a living off of jab unless you're Larry Holmes or somebody like that. But we're going to see, can he set something up behind that superior jab?
He's great with it, and he used to set up the power shot. That's the question. And remember, he was getting ready for Chad Dawson, who is more boxer than puncher. He was getting ready for an orthodox guy. This guy's southpaw. There are those little things that might trip him up, might make him start a little slow, rounds 1 and 2.
Well, you know, a guy like Chad Dawson, who's been to the top, you know, he had 2 wins against me. And but, you know, they're calling guys like Chad Dawson because, you know, Chad Dawson hasn't been able to take a punch lately. I wish somebody called me.
And Chad Dawson in that spot where he's lost a lot of his sharpness recently, but he still has a big name. But couldn't make this fight.
I take it we would still be fighting at a catch weight had they called you.
I don't know if he'd go up to your weight.
My beloved partner.
I was just sticking it to the heavyweights out there.
I got you. Feel out first couple of minutes for both fighters. You heard a pretty good rousing ovation for Alvarez. Born in Colombia, fights out of Montreal, about a 2.5-hour drive to the southwest of where we sit tonight. He says, this is my home, this is my area. Wants to prove to the crowd that he could be a championship level fighter. Although in the past he's fought in this area, in the province, and the crowd has, let's just say, implored him to show more action.
A lot of people feel pressure when they're in their hometown. There's a lot you have to deal with. He says it. I came out stiff. I didn't show everything I could do when I fought at home. I'll change that tonight.
One of 10 in the books.
On s'approche, Eleider, on s'approche de lui. Avec une bonne défensive. Et après, on passe à l'attaque.
Close-up look at the 19-0, Eleider Alvarez.
Avec le jab, un jab à clé, plus proche, après le big attack.
Get his instructions. I believe it was French being spoken to him there. He's trilingual, speaks Spanish, his native tongue from Colombia, and French. Residing out of Montreal now, speaks a little bit of English as well. Spanish his most comfortable language. Fans, you can watch full fights from Premier Boxing Champions and Bellator MMA on the Spike app. Available now for iOS and Android. That was a quick left as Berridge dove in. Alvarez was able to adjust the angle of the punch. Made contact on the tip of the nose. Not a lot behind it, but still an accurate punch.
We've got to see when Berridge is going to start taking some risks here. So far, he's on the outside. That's Alvarez's game with that lead hand with the jab. He's comfortable out here. Has the reach advantage. You know, when is Berridge going to, you know, flip the script and try something big? And you can tell he's waiting for it.
Right, you know, he has his back against the wall, last minute replacement and all, but still, I mean, for the first 3-4 rounds, he should give a good account of himself. And again, you know, Alvarez can't sleep with this guy because this guy still has power in his punches.
Don't hit him behind the head. Don't hit him behind the head.
Talked at the beginning of the show about the road, or I guess I should say flight plan that Berridge had to to take to get here. Found out about the fight last week, flew in on Tuesday here to Quebec City. It's a 16-hour time change. It's 1 p.m., a little after 1 p.m. Saturday back in New Zealand.
You notice that Berridge is moving to the left. He's actually going into the power, the right-hand power of his opponent, of Alvarez. A lot of times southpaws do that. They're trying to set up a counter shot when he throws that right hand, but it hasn't been available thus far.
Could be moving away also from that jab and lead hook, which has been effective so far. He's trying to take the power away from that as he moves away from it, but...
Well, definitely haven't seen that jab Alvarez is talking about.
Yeah, he's been throwing it out there, yeah, but hasn't been able to snap the head back as much. And you had quite a jab yourself there, champ.
Mostly distance fighting through 2 rounds in Quebec.
If you do, and you feel hand-to-hand touch, you're throwing the right hook afterwards.
You see both fighters there. Robert Berridge, 27-4-1 on the left side of your screen. A little bit of wear underneath the right eye of Berridge. Alvarez taking a couple extra seconds on the stool here prior to round number 3. Get the bell, and we're underway. Antonio, you were talking about Berridge and kind of where he stands with the southpaw orthodox matchup. Berridge, his people told us he's an awkward southpaw. He fights a little bit, they use the word awkward. That can mean unpredictable. That can mean good things, or the opposite.
Well, I think in this fight, he definitely has to make it a rough and tough fight, gritty, you know, because you don't want Alvarez to stay out there in the pocket and be comfortable. He has to make this uncomfortable for him, and man, he can do that by making it a rugged, tough fight for Alvarez.
Which I think he's starting to do in this 3rd round. He does not want to box the boxer. He wants to brawl him. Alvarez, a decorated amateur. You can tell he has good fundamentals. He's not going to win this fight on the outside.
Winner of the Pan American Games, so we know he has the skill and the talent. Alvarez, that is.
Yep. Alvarez, a member of the Colombian Olympic team back in 2008 in Beijing. Fought at light heavyweight there as well.
Alvarez needs to start trusting that jab, man. He got to start landing that jab. Right now, it seems like he's just parting with it, and he's coming up short. He has to put 2 or 3 jabs together, and what he's doing now, he's hell-bent on counter-punching, trying to land something significant.
That awkwardness of Berridge. In previous fights we looked at, he's often off balance because he's leaning so hard into all of his shots. It's part of that awkwardness is he's not always over his hips, he's not always over his feet.
But again, when you look at Alvarez, who has a superior jab, he say, and the guy is shorter than him and he has that reach, he has to utilize that jab. If you can't hit him with the jab, you can't hit him with much more than that.
But does that southpaw stance maybe make that a little bit more difficult for him?
Probably. And Berridge just landed a nice little overhand right hand there. But he's at the level now where southpaw or conventional shouldn't make a difference. And I'm sure they knew they was facing a southpaw tonight.
See Alvarez's waistband there saying familia. Family very important to this man, whose family was actually back in Colombia. Remember, this man resides in Montreal, trains in Montreal. Only sees his family once or twice a year. Last time he saw his wife, Jessica, and his 7-year-old daughter, Ida, was December. Hopes to be able to see them again by the end of the year. Both fighters will see round 4. Good-looking wide shot of the Centre Videotron. I attempted that in French. Jimmy squinted his eyes. Oh, you thought it was good?
Oh, that was great.
Well, you don't speak French either, so I'm not sure if you should be the ultimate judge of that.
No, seriously, great.
It's a gorgeous arena, just opened 10 months ago. 18,000-seat arena. They hope to lure an NHL franchise to Quebec. Of course, the Quebec Nordiques skated here for so many years in this town until they left, and the French Canadians loving their hockey. They would love to get another team back here. In the meantime, they host major artists. Justin Bieber played here last year. Metallica opened it up. Celine Dion, the famous Canadian, is coming here next month. Great sporting events. The Sweet Science. Glad you're with us, PBC on Spike. Nice little exchange there between Alvarez and Berridge. 40 seconds into round number 4. No big shots so far from either fighter.
Berridge has done that a few times. He'll throw a power shot and kind of lean into it and clinch. He doesn't give himself enough distance to follow up on it.
There's that jab. Nice scoring blow by Alvarez.
Straight ones now.
Let go, no punch.
Spike Sports presents 2 world-class events in back-to-back nights at the end of August. We're going to have Bellator MMA and then PBC on Spike back-to-back nights. It starts Friday, August 26th. MMA superstar Benson Henderson faces hard-charging former featherweight champion Patricio Pitbull. That's Bellator MMA, the first of 2 great nights of combat sports here on Spike. Friday, August 26th it begins at 10 o'clock live here on Spike. Just missing with the right is Alvarez as the final seconds are ticking down here to round number 4. Some people thought this would be a very quick fight, as it seemed to be a mismatch on paper. We'll go to the 5th.
Any of his punches affected you yet? No. Good, because they're not going to. You're going to keep moving and keep your hands up like you have, Robert. Need you to put
there
more
you
than
see a
2
little
punches.
cumulative effect of that.
When you come in here,
According to Alvarez, Alvarez's world-class jab, right eye, starting to see some redness, a little bit of puffiness. Berridge electing in between rounds to remain standing, a la George Foreman late in his career. While Alvarez just about takes every last second of it. Here's the echo of the bell before they pull his stool out of the corner. And off we go into round number 5. The fighters come out active.
So where Barrett wants to keep it in that awkward pocket range. Hasn't been able to keep the fight there. He's got it there in spurts. Hasn't been able to really stake his claim inside chest to chest. Because on the outside, Alvarez has been owning it.
Yeah, he's backing up too much. He's going to have to press the guy with some head movement and some upper body movement. I mean, he's just circling, but it's not allowing him to get in and land anything effective. No body shots, no head shots, no nothing. He's going to have to take some type of risk and hold his ground. There comes a time where you have to hold your ground.
There's a nice shot that the crowd reacts to. I think the guard was up there for Alvarez, but Berridge made some solid contact.
He's going to have to move the target. Like I was telling you earlier, with that head movement, he can get Alvarez to extend a little bit and maybe reach and then find the opening.
He doesn't like it. He doesn't like it, Robert. Keep your hands up now.
See him loading up one big shot.
There you go.
Problem is, for a guy who's been around the block in the amateurs and the pros, he's going to see that punch coming.
All right, wild swing. Open it up. Let him come in. Keep your right hand up.
We talk about over and over how he's brags about his jab, the lead hook. We've seen that. He hasn't made his right hand much of a factor in this fight. He's taking on southpaw. He needs to do that. He needs to get that right hand engaged. Well, he hasn't been huge.
Yeah, he's boxing right now, and he's staying in one mode. I mean, you got to have different gears in this game. And he's talking about fighting Superman Stevenson, man. He's going to have to bring more to the table. But a lot of times, I mean, fighters look less than impressive and get the big fight rather than looking impressive and then being avoided by, you know, everybody.
Not showing what you got can be important, but I think he wants to finish tonight, but he needs to activate that right hand.
And you see that redness getting more pronounced on the right side, just below the right eye of Berridge. But the left jabs have not yielded the opportunity for the big right cross just yet. Or at least if the opportunity was there, the undefeated fighter hasn't been able to capitalize to this point. Still apparently in control. As Berridge takes a bit of a stumble at the end of the round.
Welcome back to PBC on Spike. Adonis Stevenson, the WBC light heavyweight champ, getting ready for our main event, his 7th title defense after a near 11-month layoff from fighting. We saw him get the knockout win last time on Spike. We'll see if he can get it again here tonight, gentlemen.
Dana, thank you very much. Check back with you in just a little bit. Welcome back ringside, everyone, as the two combatants come to the middle of the ring for round number 6. I mentioned a couple rounds ago about Alvarez's family, his wife and daughter still being back in Colombia. That is not by choice. As we said, he is a self-proclaimed family man. It's visa issues that he hopes to get ironed out so his family can eventually move to Montreal to be with him here in this beautiful country of Canada. But he says they'll be watching. They'll find out at the result here back in Colombia tonight as soon as this goes final, which to this point we don't know. No big potential knockdown or knockout shots we've seen from either fighter yet. Pleased to be joined here tonight by the next member of our broadcast team, PBC historian Corey Erdman, with his unofficial scorecard. Corey, how do you see it?
Guys, right now I have it 5 rounds to nothing. At this point, Robert Berridge is just opposed to contact, so it's hard to give him any rounds. The guys who have troubled Alvarez in the past in his career, for the most part, Prieto and Andy Gardner a couple years ago, they've been guys who have pressured him, and thus far, Robert Berridge hasn't shown the willingness to be able to do that.
Corey, thank you. So a clean sweep on his scorecard. Guys, I take it no disagreement here at ringside. Yep.
I think if Alvarez wants to make an impression here, he's going to have to probably gamble a little bit and give Berridge a little false sense of security, open him up a little bit, then land those type of shots. Right now, he's just dressed down in defense and not giving this guy anything. Sometimes you got to bait him in and trick him in order to knock him out.
Usually when Berridge has tried to get offensive, it's been 1 or 2 big punches like that and he falls into a clinch. Unless you time him come in, it's hard to get offensive with a guy like that. He hasn't given Alvarez a ton of opportunities. It's hard to counterpunch a guy who's not punching very much.
Exactly. And that's what I meant by Alvarez allowing him to open up a little bit, not take anything dangerously, but just give him a false sense of security and slam the door.
A bit of muscle sends Berridge back. The awkward clinch broken up by our referee, Marlon Wright. And on we go. Less than 30 seconds remaining in round number 6. I mean, guys, let's come out and say it. Alvarez is not known as a knockout artist. 19-0, yes. 10 knockouts to his credit.
They're knockout artists and they're TKO artists. Maybe he can throw enough punches to get a stoppage. He's not a one-punch knockout kind of guy, but he can increase the volume.
Well said.
Now, he's going to start getting frustrated.
Well, they've gone to the frozen metal
I know the eyes
for
getting
the
closed up.
the
That's
under
fine.
eye
Look,
damage there of Berridge.
3 after that snake charmer. When you pivot out, do it as well. Good work, bro. Keep it up.
Listening to the New Zealand accented English from his corner man.
Well, that phantom jab must be doing some work.
Yeah.
Just built it up too much. He's been doing a good job with the jab. Stand behind that.
Berridge's guys tell us that Berridge can't get fights in New Zealand. Has often had to hop the island over to Australia to take some fights, and even in that fight scene, looking for more action elsewhere in the world, and that's why he was available for a last-minute fight. Hopped the plane, and here he is tonight. For what it's worth, Corey Erdman, who we heard from last round, who at that point had to fight 5 rounds to none Alvarez, gave the 6th round on his unofficial scorecard to Berridge. So there's that.
Could be a slight confidence builder. But Alvarez in the last couple rounds a little more willing to mix it up, a little more willing to get in there to land punches.
Not that willing.
Yeah, not that willing. But more in the last 2 rounds than it was earlier on in the fight.
And I like for him, if he can, he's letting Berridge get away like that. He has to cut that ring off and make him go the other direction. It's just been too easy for Berridge to get out of those traps.
And as we're halfway through round number 7, I'll remind you that the strong rumor, almost reports out there say if Alvarez wins tonight, Dana mentioned this at the top of the show, and if Alvarez wins tonight and Adonis Stevenson takes care of business in the main event, that could be the matchup for what would then be the 8th title defense for Superman. But Alvarez to this point, solidly in control by all of our eyeballs, yet not overwhelmingly impressive.
And he's going to have to add some more tricks to his arsenal, man, if he's going to be able to compete with the top echelons of the light heavyweight division. He's just he's too honest of a fighter. You know, you can read him like a book, and you know, you just can't do that if you want to step up and be champion and defeat some of these guys that have been at the top for so long.
Look, we're in this business, all right? Honesty is not a virtue in boxing.
That was the word that I attached to it.
It is not at all. All right, he'll never make it in this game, being honest. Come on.
Oh, nice right hand over the top after he, I think he threw an uppercut, but then came back over the top with the right hand. Snapped Berridge's head sideways momentarily.
And Berridge went right in for the clinch off of that. Did not like that at all.
We'll be back for round 8.
Thomas Williams Jr., the challenger in our title defense tonight for Adonis Stevenson. Gotta love the confidence, though. He told us just yesterday that if you are a betting man, he's ready to make someone very rich tonight. That main event still coming up, guys.
Looking forward to it, Dana, as a couple of colorful personalities will clash along with 2 quality fighters. Well, more than quality, 2 super fighters in the main event. After we're finished with this one, which is now, guys, gone fairly deep here into the 8th round. Here's a man who said he was training in Berridge in the black with white trim trunks. Said he was training for a fight anyway, but this is a short notice fight in a far off land in an absolutely different time zone for him. How do you see his conditioning so far?
Well, obviously, you know, Alvarez hadn't really landed anything significant to the body to take his legs from him. And he's still in this fight. I mean, he has a puncher's chance. I think his conditioning was fairly well. Great counterpunch by Berridge just now.
Left hand.
Another thing is he hasn't had the kind of volume that's going to wear him out. He's been very selective with his punches, which is partly why he's losing rounds, but he's been selective with when he's been offensive. Probably because he has his legs under him right now.
The crowd wants to get into this. This is, watching the undercard earlier, this is a pretty knowledgeable boxing crowd. It's a great boxing area for those of you who have never been to this part of the world. Folks in Quebec love their sports, love their boxing. Obviously, the Montreal boxing scene, very robust. They want to rise to their feet. Haven't been given much of an opportunity to this point. And now Alvarez content to stick his chin out there and drop the fists down to the thighs, trying to coax Berridge into something he might regret.
Like you said, champ, take some risks, bait him in. I think he's trying to do that. Berridge so far not taking the bait. Nice left hook.
That was a nice left hook. And he stayed in the pocket, and that's what he needs to do more of. Let Berridge throw his punches, but you got to be in the pocket in order to counterpunch. He seemed to be a counterpuncher, so take a chance.
He threw a punch behind his back there when they were in the clinch as well. Referee Marlon Wright didn't necessarily notice it, or perhaps my eyes deceived me.
A lot of times you hear fighters say, hey, I was in the gym, I was preparing, and I think Berridge told the truth, because there's no way he could have been totally out of shape and still be standing here with 8 tough rounds in the books.
Berridge, a man of few words. When we met with him at the fighters meetings, his cornermen did most of the talking. He didn't really have much to say. Just said he wanted to get in there and mix it up. Did tell us he was very hungry. We meet with the fighters prior to the weigh-in.
They always hungry before the fight.
That's a universal sentiment.
Sois actif. Il faut le lancer le Undo. Tu peux pas attendre après lui. Tu veux voir des jambes, OK? Je veux que tu commences le salto avec un peu de rebond.
You're looking at a man who feels that at points of his pro career he's been overlooked. Hasn't gotten the title shots when he feels he's deserved them. He's run his record to 19-0. He's facing an opponent who took the fight on short notice. Heavily favored is Alvarez, and yet now we're in the 9th of 10 rounds, and his opponent hasn't teetered much at all. You would figure a knockout would be the way to make a statement that you would want or deserve that title shot. But so would a record of 20-0 if you could get there however you could get there.
But you also have to remember that that could put a lot of pressure on Alvarez in his hometown. Needing the knockout could be a little tight because of that. That need to impress, that need to do more.
Well,
could be frustrating.
He's definitely looked better away. I mean, that's what was in the notes, that he had 2 impressive wins outside of Quebec. And it seemed like every time he fights home, he tightens up. Maybe the pressure and the need to look impressive get to him.
That being said, he is fighting an awkward southpaw. A guy who, lunges in with one punch, has stayed tight, has moved back a lot. Hard to look good against a guy like that.
Now you see him sitting there, and he's working on off his defense. He's let Alvarez throw, and he's there for the counter. He needs to do a lot more of that to open this guy up and maybe land something that really hurts him.
There was a left and a right. It scored both times. But did not appear to put Berridge in trouble. Although now appears that blood is coming from the mouth of the underdog.
And he's closer than he's been all night. He's allowing Berridge to throw those punches, and he's there for the counter.
Also looks like in this round, Berridge wearing down a little bit more. We're seeing no particular punch doing a ton of damage, but we're seeing the wear on his face. We're seeing him slow down with his footwork a bit. Could be taking its toll.
Wait, don't punch.
Berridge trying to hit a home run with that overhand left.
Well, I think we're at the point where a decision is just out of the question. He needs to put Alvarez on the floor. He's going to let this fight slip away.
Good body shot by Alvarez. Alvarez has done a lot of damage in this round.
was scheduled for 10, and it'll go to the 10th.
Now it's time to dig deep. You've got heaps of motivation. What I want you to do, except when you... don't worry about that. You've got to catch up with something. Listen, I need you to move your feet a little bit faster for these last 3 minutes. When he tunes and misses, you have to jump.
Only 3 minutes remaining in this light heavyweight bout. The man on the left has shown a lot of heart, a lot of guts, with all the circumstances just to pick up this fight, get here and be here and force this deep into the final round. The man on the right has outclassed his opponent to this point by our minds, but can he finish with a flurry? Has not really appealed to the crowd much. Alvarez, you would think, comfortable on all of the judges' scorecards to this point, but himself saying, I need an impressive performance, as there you see it, just one round on our unofficial scorecard from Corey Erdman in favor of Berridge. So 8-1 to this point for Alvarez, who, well, after a quick break, dove back in there and threw that snapping jab.
Nice overhand left by Berridge, but didn't back Alvarez off. We haven't gotten a sense so far in this fight that Alvarez is impressed with Berridge's power. He's landed a couple overhand lefts, but none have really rung his bell. None have made him back off. He's gonna let it flow. This is a round to do it.
Yeah, but the converse could be said too. Berridge has not really wobbled in this fight, and you're talking about a fighter who hopes to face one of the hardest punchers in the world in his next fight with Adonis Stevenson.
It's definitely an uphill battle for Alvarez, but like I said, he has the skill, and maybe this is just a bad style matchup. You never know. But looking at him from this point, I mean, he has the ability to just, like I said, he should have changed his rhythm, changed his style a little bit. You got to have more than just one trick at this level.
I don't hear Alvarez's trainer, Mark Ramsey, yelling for some type of closing flurry. I suppose you got to let your fighter know when it's time to do that. But his body has to tell him there's only 1 minute left, as now there's heavy damage on the right side of Berridge's face. There you see it, beaten down. 50 seconds to try and close.
Finally got Berridge to open up, and he's landing some terrific counter punches.
But can he show some power that he hasn't shown so far in this fight in this last 30 seconds? He's been the better boxer. He's fought well from the outside. He's used a lead hand well and a few right hands. But he's yet to really do that one punch damage.
That body work from Alvarez late is really punishing Berridge.
Boy, and Berridge.
He can't even stand up.
Yeah, he was, sometimes he fights awkwardly. That was an awkward clinch there, but it gave him a bit of a breather as they now have 10 seconds remaining, and the crowd rises. They went the distance. It appeared one-sided, but you never know.
You never know.
How did they score it? Did Alvarez push his record to 20-0? We find out next. Well, just about everyone in attendance thinks it was a clean sweep for the undefeated fighter Alvarez. The only three opinions that matter, the judges. With those scorecards, here's Roland Maillot.
The decision, la décision. Judge Eno, juge Eno. 99-90. 99-90. Alvarez. Judge Gauthier. Juge Gauthier. 98-92. 98-92. Alvarez. Judge Roussel, le juge Roussel. 98-92. 98-92. Alvarez. The winner and still undefeated. Le gagnant, toujours invaincu. Eleider Storm Alvarez.
Well, you can judge for yourself how impressive it was. It certainly was one-sided, and the only thing that matters is there's still a 0 in the right column of his one-loss record. 20-0, Eleider Alvarez, who will now go and find himself a television so he can watch PBC on Spike, or maybe take a quick shower and come back ringside, because the main event is still to come, which could be featuring his next opponent, Adonis Superman Stevenson. And hey, we also have time for a middleweight bout. Undefeated Immanuwel Aleem against one-beaten Demond Nicholson when we come back to Quebec. Time now for 8 rounds of middleweight action between 2 good young prospects out of the DMV. Immanuwel Aleem, 16-0, versus Demond Nicholson at 17-1. Aleem out of Richmond, Virginia. Nicholson out of Laurel, Maryland.
Bucks.
Round 1 underway between the 2 fighters who know each other since virtually childhood. Now fighting in the middleweight division. Aleem in the red, Nicholson in the white. Antonio, we talked to both these fighters yesterday. They said, yeah, they've seen each other before back when they were puppies in the sport, back in the amateurs. 3 times they faced each other. Aleem told us he got him twice. But again, both fighters saying long time in their past.
Yeah, but I tell you, anytime you step in the ring and you get a win over a guy, it sticks with you. Professionally or amateur.
One stat that jumps out of the page is Nicholson, 17 wins, 16 knockouts. Very heavy-handed. A lot of people talk about the transition between the amateur and pro game. It's the power. It's a power differential. People love the knockouts. The difference between when they fought as amateurs is Nicholson's style appealing in the pro game. Will he land that power tonight?
And again, early on in any fighter's career, you know, those knockouts can be deceptive. Can you fight top-notch fighters and get those type of KOs? Because a lot of times, you know, it's great matchmaking rather than really knockout power. But we'll see tonight.
Nicholson also has a loss on his ledger. Came 2 years ago to a fighter who was 5-5 at the time, Lekan Byfield. Beat him by a TKO.
I mean, to his credit.
Otherwise, we'd have 2 perfect fighters in the ring, right?
Right, and to his credit, you know, he told us about how he struggled in the past with weight.
Yes.
And he struggled this fight. You know, he said he got it under control because one of his dear friends, Lamont Peterson, really showed him how to do it properly in the right way. And, you know, we'll see if those tips has helped him tonight.
One thing is, he's the much bigger fighter in there tonight. He's cutting a lot of weight. You can see it. But Aleem, so far, the more active fighter. Demond Nicholson kind of biding his time here.
Seemed to connect with the right hand that Aleem nodded towards.
And I'll tell you what we will see tonight is 2 skillful fighters, man. Both of these guys have tremendous amateur backgrounds, and you won't see them making some of the mistakes that you see most fighters make.
I mean, how often do we say it, champ? The amateurs where you build those fundamentals. Both these guys have solid fundamentals, for sure.
Definitely, most definitely. What I like to look for in a fighter is composure. Look at their faces. You see a very relaxed Nicholson there. Look at the difference from Aleem. His face is a little bit tight. You can tell him he's thinking hard. Biting down on that mouthpiece.
I think that what that shows is a little nervousness, a little respect for the power of Nicholson.
You're absolutely right.
Opening bell for round number 2. Middleweight bout scheduled for 8. Antonio, you mentioned Nicholson in the white trunks, battling cutting weight. Said that Lamont Peterson, that name, of course, familiar to all boxing fans, but certainly you PBC on Spike fans as well. One of the Peterson brothers fighting out of DC's famous Headbangers gym. In fact, you can see the Headbangers logo across the lower portion of the waist of Nicholson's white trunks there. Said when he first walked into Headbangers, you look around, there's Robert Easter Jr., there's the Peterson brothers, there's Adrian Broner. Could be a little bit of intimidating experience the first time. Said he was like a baby lion walking into the den. Now he says he feels he could walk with the pack after putting a few wins together.
Nice counter right hand by Aleem.
quick.
So far, Aleem so far is taking advantage of the fact that Nicholson hasn't been that active, has been setting up a lot of punches, but hasn't been throwing a lot. Aleem's been throwing. He's taking advantage of the fact that it's pretty much been his to throw.
Yeah, and when you look at Nicholson again, he said he struggled with the weight. And sometimes in the back of your mind, you don't want to push it because you don't want to trust your conditioning. So it's imperative that Aleem fight a fast pace to take Nicholson places right now that he may not be ready to go.
I think he could be over-relying on his power. Well, Nicholson's kind of waiting for one shot as opposed to throwing a combination because he does have power, but guys can over-rely on that sometimes.
And don't forget, this is a short fight. This is an 8-rounder. It's not 10. So he won't have those extra rounds to get his work done. So he's going to have to pick it up. You don't want to fall behind 2 rounds, 3 rounds with 8 rounds to go.
Counter body shot by Nicholson. Aleem jumps back momentarily and dives back in with a couple of lefts.
I think the first round was definitely a still-out round, and you can see, I think they're going to get a little closer. After this round, maybe the next, things are going to heat up a little bit.
I like the footwork and countering we're seeing from Aleem. He's fighting a smart fight.
At least in the fighter meetings, not a lot of trash talk between the two. You figure they might have a rivalry, knowing each other from the amateurs, both being from the DMV, had to come all the way up here to French Canada to face each other in the ring.
Familiarity breeds contempt. It also breeds respect.
Sure.
You know, these guys know one another. And you're not going to get inside somebody's head that you face in the amateurs. You guys both know the game. The gamesmanship isn't going to mean as much, in my opinion.
Most definitely. Very familiar with each other. You said that already. But again, I mean, they're in there to win for sure. And I know Aleem would like to be able to reach him with his jab a little bit. He's been coming up short. He's going to have to double and triple that jab if you want to get close.
A couple of relatively calm rounds between the middleweights. We'll be back for round 3. Underway in round number 3. Aleem and Nicholson. Middleweight matchup on a night where the light heavyweights feature heavily. Good trade there by both men.
Aleem staying in the pocket a little bit more than he did in the first 2 rounds.
There you go. You guys predicted it.
Yeah. Showing a little more confidence.
No big shots really from either fighter through 2 rounds in 1 minute here. I checked with unofficial scorekeeper Corey Erdman just a moment ago. He has it 2-0 Aleem in the red trunks.
And that's just basically on ring generalship. You can see him, a lot of movement, and he has thrown that right hand successfully. But I think both fighters need to do a little bit more here as this fight goes on.
No punches. Break it off. Good thing, guys.
Nicholson too often has been able to plant his feet and wait. And he's been second so far in this fight. It's been Aleem getting off first every single time. It's Aleem initiating these combinations, and when he's done, he's out. He's not staying there admiring his work.
And that's a great point. And, you know, when you look at Nicholson, it seems like he's a natural counterpuncher. Sometimes you got to be first. You got to lead. You can't always be second. The guy get the jump on you.
Aleem showed good footwork, good speed. He's not going to be easy to counterpunch. He hasn't shown that ego where he finishes a combination and stares at you. He doesn't do that. He's out with his feet.
Really good boxer. Really good boxer. Fundamentally sound. You can see that. He's not overreaching. He's throwing combinations.
I think we've seen through round 2 and most of round 3 is he's not going to open up for you. Nicholson's going to have to make that happen somehow. Aleem's not the kind of guy who's going to give you an opening. You stand there and stare at him. Got to open up the door. And so far, Nicholson hasn't been active enough to do that.
I think Nicholson got to get a little closer and throw some body shots. He's too far out. I mean, the guy has speed on him. He's going to have to get in close and throw some body shots to slow Aleem down right now. He's trying to box with the boxer.
Yeah, that's not working.
ready for round number 4, scheduled for 8. Middleweight matchup. Demond, the best at it, Nicholson in the white trunks. Immanuwel Aleem in the red. Aleem introduced to the sport of boxing by his parents, not his father, as we normally just hear, oh, dad took me to the gym. No, mom and dad. Deidre, his mom, and Omar, his dad, introduced him and his older brother, Moshe, to the sport. In fact, they now, the parents, have established and operate a gym in the Richmond area. 9th Dimension Sports Circle, youth gym where young fighters come to learn the sport. Been developing amateur prospects for about a decade, and they're sanctioned by USA Boxing. Quite a family affair. They'd love to see their guy keep building his record. Maybe start sniffing some championship fights a couple of years hence.
We're getting to the point where Nicholson will either be out of range of a decision or he's going to have to wipe out the rest of the fight. That's never where you want to be, champ.
Well, he's getting close right now, just like I anticipated he would. He got good instructions from Barry Hunter in there, and that's all he got to do is be close enough to touch your man. There you go.
Aleem showing good fight back after Nicholson straightened him out for a moment. Aleem with the body flurry to answer.
It's going to be important for Nicholson, like I said, to stay to the body and slow this guy down a little bit.
Wild looping right by Aleem. Didn't find its mark.
He's yet to make Aleem really uncomfortable. Like you said, Chimp, got to get closer, maybe work the body, just break up this confidence we're seeing so far in Immanuwel Aleem. Hasn't been seriously touched, doing a great job with his feet and with his hands. I think Nicholson's doing better in this round.
Yeah, you're right.
We got to see that moment where it's like Aleem's got to start getting worried. And so far, that hasn't happened.
Yeah, Aleem right now still using his legs to avoid any danger. But again, Nicholson had his moment on the ropes. He landed some good body shots, but he also landed a good right hand. So if he wants to win this round, he's going to have to close this round and close it strong. I'm telling you.
Combination, quick hands by Aleem there. And
man, that was a la Midget Taylor.
Whoa,
yeah, very Midget Taylor. One of the legends.
High praise indeed. Aleem and Nicholson will see the 5th round. Immanuwel Aleem, Demond Nicholson begin round number 5. Aleem told us, he said, hey, I look at knockouts as easy. What I want to do is break a guy down over time. We're into the back half of the fight, middleweight bout scheduled for 8. We'll see if Aleem can accomplish his goal and score the knockout after breaking it down. Nicholson starting to wander into waters where he might need the knockout.
Well, I see Aleem right now. He's focused. He's not moving. He's standing in front of him. He's taking it to his man right now. That may give Nicholson some opportunities. But, man, Aleem looked good on his feet. He's boxing beautifully, throwing combination, and, man, is he quick.
Very fast hands. I like what I see from his feet. I like what I see boxing from the waist down, is that he's moving his feet. Well, that's when he's at his best, when both things are going at the same time. But you see these moments where he gets confidence and he stands in front of his man throwing punches. That might be a mistake, but he's landing good right hands. Really want to stand in the range of a puncher like Nicholson. Confidence, double-edged sword, champ. You know.
Yeah, but you know what? His coaches told him to go at him. This guy has nothing for you. He's trying to walk you down. We'll meet him in the center of the ring. That could be good advice, but it could be the one that gets Nicholson back in this fight.
Probably the best activity we've seen out of both men here in round number 5. They stand in the middle of the ring and trade. Aleem with a left up top. Demond went back downstairs.
Aleem showing everybody, I just can't box, I can fight too.
Very true.
Heaviest punches of the fight to this point.
You're going to see if those knockouts really what they're supposed to be, because he has opportunities now.
Gotta wonder. I mean, I'm one of those guys where it's you go back to the corner, What's been working? Moving his feet and throwing combinations. Now he's standing in a phone booth. That's not how he's won the previous 4 rounds.
And like I said, it may give Nicholson an opportunity here. But again, it's showtime, baby. You know, you got to perform. You got to put on a show. You want to close it in order to get your stock up. So
welcome to fighting.
Yeah.
He's been winning from the outside, but like you said, it hasn't been the most entertaining of fights. Now they're fighting toe-to-toe, and it's great, but I think it gives Nicholson a chance to get back into the fight.
And look how he's squaring up.
Yeah.
He's squaring up right now. That's bad news for Aleem.
Once again, throwing good combinations.
Volume in this round has been extreme compared to the first 4.
But I think the power of Aleem has dissipated a little bit. Those look like arm punches there with that combination he did.
All right, starting to get entertaining here in Quebec City. We'll see what the 2 men bring to round 6.
We here at Spike Sports believe in putting fighters first, and that actually starts at the amateur level. That's like the U.S. amateur boxers that recently made a special trip to Cuba. Tomorrow, they will face their Cuban peers in the ring for a unique night of boxing, of which Spike is proud to be a part. The setting, the Roberto Clemente Bridge. That means for those of you in the Pittsburgh area, an unforgettable sight that you could make a part of your Saturday night.
Bucks.
Can they stack the action from round number 5 into round 6?
Talking about a la Mildred Taylor, man.
Combinations, punches and bunches.
Rapid fire.
Yep. Footwork as well as handwork.
Okay, now you see Aleem now. It's back to the old Aleem that he had the first 5 rounds.
Using space.
First 4 rounds, definitely. Back on his toes. Smart guy.
Dropping that left a little bit, wiggling it in front of Nicholson as if to bait him in now.
I think you got a healthy respect for Nicholson's power in that last round, maybe. Figured, I think I'm a little safer out here.
Hey, sometimes you got to test the water. But it might be too
That's
hot.
cool. I don't think I'm swimming today.
If I had any advice for Nicholson, and what I've seen so far tonight has been one and done. He's thrown 1 punch and done. There's been no 1, 2, 3s, no combination, and I think that might be the difference in this fight. He just hasn't put them together.
Also, a lot of following footwork. He's not cutting off the ring. He's not anticipating where Aleem is going to go. He's following him in a straight line.
He's walking. He's walking instead of galloping. You got to gallop to cut the ring off. You get there quicker like that.
And that 1 punch, Aleem can see that a mile away.
Well, in a fight that neither fighter has suffered a lot of damage, it would appear. Could be heading towards the judges' scorecards. Our unofficial scorekeeper, PBC historian Corey Erdman, has it 3 rounds to 2, Aleem.
Very close.
No punch. Stop. Stop. What's up? This time you got a point. Okay.
Nicholson he gets a point the next time. That was his first warning.
I thought so. I didn't hear it was. Before that.
Yeah.
There you go. He has to do more of that combination punches. Double up on that jab. Get closer.
No punch. No punch. Break it off.
Nice right hand. Aleem's done that a few times. He throws the overhand right and clinches. Doesn't give Nicholson a chance to counterpunch him.
A couple shots by Nicholson. Found their mark and scored. Nicholson trying to throw a flurry towards the end of the round as the bell sounds.
Bucks.
7th round scheduled for 8 in the middleweight division. And a relatively close fight between Aleem and Nicholson to this point. Nicholson, as we established at the beginning of the fight, comes in with the high knockout percentage. He might be in the territory where he needs one here in the final 2 rounds. Although Aleem, the aggressor, with a flurry and then a wild shot. Nicholson had to go back to the corner momentarily to avoid it. Dodge back in for some more.
Break it off.
Fatigue showing on both men here. Nicholson, 16 knockouts in 17 pro wins. He says power, yes, he has it, but it's his precision that helps him to get people out of there. Said he hits people correctly.
Problem is that Aleem's footwork hasn't allowed for a lot of correct punches. He's always been moving. He hasn't allowed himself to be hit flush.
And that's because basically Nicholson has thrown 1 punch at a time. There's really haven't been any opportunities. Right there, he should have followed up with a hook.
Again, nice combination by Aleem.
Boy, but nothing exposed as Nicholson was able to score after that.
And watch, Aleem is standing high with his chin up. That spells danger for any fighter.
Now for about 10 seconds there, we had slipped into a brawl.
No punch. Let the hands go, guys.
Drop that one on the shoulder. Yep. Oh, nice uppercut. Snaps Aleem's head back.
Again, he's one and done. He has to put a couple combinations together. You never know what happens. One guy can, he can avoid that one shot, but it's hard to avoid 2 or 3.
Aleem's key to success in this fight. It has 4 or 5 punches.
And he just looks good when he goes.
Exactly that. How appealing aesthetically is that to the judges?
Exactly.
It's hard to tell how much is behind it, but Aleem seems to be able to summon 4 quick shots whenever he wants to.
And that really breaks up anything.
Nice. That right hand, and you know what? He was holding on. What will this be called? What will this be called? I'm telling you, that right hand staggered Nicholson. He grabbed onto Aleem to keep his balance. That's ruled. That was ruled. That was a knockdown. That was ruled a knockdown.
No, they ruled it out.
No, it's a slip.
A slip.
He waved it off.
We need to see this. It was a right hand by Aleem on the button. Woo. And then after this is what I saw that I thought he was going to call it a knockdown. Nicholson hurt and hung on, clung to Aleem going backwards, and then eventually fell to the canvas. I don't know if we can extend the video to show it. This will show it.
Solid shot.
Live speed, look at, holds on. You tell me he wasn't going down there at that point?
He was going down.
So could have been ruled a knockdown.
He held down to avoid going down.
There you go.
That should have been a knockdown. Lucky break for Nicholson.
I don't know how the referee missed that.
I called it a slip.
Come on, let's go, man. Listen,
either way, to this point, if you had Aleem on your scorecards ahead,
come on, where the mouthpiece
then that would just about seal it. Then in the 8th and final round, Nicholson probably needs to put his man on the canvas here to get a win.
And if Aleem feels like he hurt him, he should go ahead and close the show. I mean, his stock was skyrocketed with the knockout win over undefeated fighter. Not undefeated, but 1 loss fighter.
Look at those combinations, man. Still fast
in the 8th round.
Still fast in the 8th round.
That's a young guy with real focus. Oh, he hurt him again.
I think it glanced off the glove, but still was
still rocked him.
Powerful pop.
Still rocked him. Still hurt from last round, too.
And what I like about Aleem, he's not resting on his laurels right now. Knowing that he could be well ahead of this fight, he's trying to seal the deal and close the show.
It's about road work, heart, and want to right now in the final round between these middleweights.
He's throwing like he knows he's behind.
That uppercut has been there available to Nicholson, but it hasn't staggered Aleem. Set his head back a few times.
Well, there are only a few times Aleem's been in this phone booth kind of position where the uppercut's been effective. Hasn't been there the whole fight. It's been the outside most of the time.
Whoa.
Nicholson keep. Oh, nice left hook.
Man, I love his body weight, but combination punches is what this young kid needs to start putting in his repertoire, his arsenal. He needs to follow up with 3-4 shots. One won't get it at this level.
Been a bit of a slow build-up to get to this best action of the fight here, but there is just a little over 1 minute left for either man to try and score an impressive knockdown or knockout. The undefeated fighter in the red trunks, the lost fighter in the white trunks. They stand in the middle of the ring. The crowd appreciates the action for the first time in these 8 rounds. Who can dig down?
This is when that last round of sparring, that last spring drill, that comes in handy.
Look at the speed.
Still there.
There you go. He finally put 3 or 4 shots together.
Waited long enough to do it.
But I commend both of these fighters, man. They came and fought. They both laid it all on the line. You can see that each guy really wanted to win this fight.
Closing statements here between the middleweights. Nicholson and Aleem go the distance. Well, it goes to the judges' scorecards. We believe the man in the red had the advantage. Did not score a knockdown in the stumble by Nicholson in the 7th. We'll find out the official decision when we come back. Well, the middleweights went the distance. Immanuwel Aleem there in the red trunks, smiling and shaking his head, thinking he has won the decision. We find out for sure with Roland Maya.
The decision, la décision. Judge Blouin scores it 77-75. Juge Blouin 77-75. Judge Guérin scores it 76-76. Juge Guérin 76-76. Judge Procopio scores it 76-76. Juge Procopio 76-76. It is a majority draw. Nous avons une nulle majoritaire.
Wow, in a fight where Aleem was probably not credited with a knockout that he should have been, we end up with a majority draw.
Wow. He definitely got a knockdown at least, and I thought he was the busier fighter. I think statistically he owned this fight.
I do too, man. Even without the knockdown, I felt like Aleem did more. He fought his fight, and Nicholson was behind all night. He was catching up, unfortunately. I mean,
well,
our main event is minutes away. Quebec's Adonis Stevenson making his 7th title defense, a perfect Canadian record for Superman. That includes 3 WBC light heavyweight title defenses here in Quebec City, though none here in the Videotron Center. We've got a new venue tonight, same city. See what Superman has in store next.
Up next, Adonis Superman Stevenson.
Nice shot. He's staggered. He goes down.
Defends the light heavyweight belt against Thomas Top Dog Williams Jr.
Wild shots going for the kill. And this one's over.
It's the main event when PBC returns live on Spike.
You see the champion entering the ring live in Quebec, putting his title on the line in his 7th title defense. Adonis Superman Stevenson, one of the hardest punchers, regardless of division, in the entire world. The challenger, Thomas Williams Jr., the man, he calls himself top dog. This is the fight of his life. He will stand toe-to-toe with anyone, and he is capable of amazing flurries, especially early in bouts. You look at the tail of the tape, brought to you by Corona, who brings you the best in boxing. Height and reach almost equal. Adonis, no problem with the weight, coming in almost 1.5 pounds under the 175 light heavyweight limit. And Adonis Stevenson, 10 years older than the challenger, Thomas Top Dog Williams. 38 years old, Stevenson, 28 years old, Williams. Let's meet the fighters in French and English with Roland Maillard.
In the red corner, fighting out of Fort Washington, Maryland, with a record of 20 wins, 14 by knockouts and 1 loss. Dans le coin rouge, avec une fiche de 20 victoires, 14 par mise hors de combat et 1 défaite, de Fort Washington, Maryland, Thomas Top Dog Williams Jr. In the blue corner, fighting out of Montreal, Quebec, with a record of 27 wins, 22 by knockouts and 1 loss. Dans le coin bleu de Montréal, avec une fiche de 27 victoires, 22 par mise hors de combat et 1 défaite, Adonis Superman Stevenson. The judges, les juges, Massimo Barovecchio, Richard de Carufel, John Woodward. The referee, l'arbitre, Michael Griffin.
Men. Thomas. Okay, you men receive my instructions. Obey my commands and protect yourself at all times. I want you to touch gloves now. You're boxing at the bell. God bless you both.
We'll be using the unified rules. No 3 knockdown rule, no standing 8 count. You cannot be saved by the bell in any round. Only the referee can stop the fight. In the event of an accidental foul, will go to the scorecards after 4 rounds complete. They are taped up. They are laced up. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. There's going to be a championship fight. And the first round or 2 should tell us everything we need to know. Thomas Top Dog Williams in the purple trunks has come out like a Tasmanian devil in his last 2 fights and ended them in under 2 rounds. But he faces one of the most feared knockout punchers in the sport.
One thing Williams constantly talked about when talking to us is the power in Adonis Stevenson's left hand. He respects it. He says, I don't see anything else, but I see a powerful left hand. You see right now, he respects it.
As of now, he hasn't needed anything else but that hammer. I mean, this guy has that deceptive, debilitating power, man. And this fight is going to come down to what Thomas Williams can take. Can he get hit and still stay strong?
That left hand, Stevenson says, is the best left in the world, regardless of division. He's knocked out heavyweights in sparring. The late Immanuwel Stewart, who once worked with a younger Adonis Stevenson, said he's the most naturally strong fighter that Stewart had ever worked with to that point. That's saying something.
And Thomas Williams Jr.'s last fight against Edwin Rodriguez, he had a brawl. He got knocked down, got back up. Didn't see a lot of defense in that fight. We'll see if we see some tonight, but he's usually a guy who goes in and throws. He goes in and brawls, and depends on his ability to get back up again.
He definitely he has resolve. But he doesn't seem to be intimidated right now, so that's a good thing.
Moving forward, but not throwing as much as we've seen him throw in previous fights.
Absolutely. Respect for that left, which has whistled by the chin of Williams 2 or 3 times so far in this opening 90 seconds. Top Dog with a left.
Might find out if Adonis Stevenson can take a punch.
Stevenson, the book on him is he's not comfortable in the phone booth. He wants to snipe from distance, wants to load up. Can Williams get close enough?
Top Dog's gonna have to stop leaning back when he throws that left hand. I mean, he's a sitting duck when he does that. He's gonna have to get up under it, make him miss. Right there.
And there is the left we talked about. An opening round knockdown that Williams says he can shake off.
Now, this is normally when the fight gets started.
This is normally how Williams warms up.
Is a bazooka, which he tried to unload a second time. We told you, expect fireworks early. Williams throws wildly. Final seconds of round one. And Stevenson scores the knockdown about 2:30 into round number one. Almost to the back of the head of Top Dog. We're back. Antonio Tarver, you were analyzing it, saying Williams was leaning back, watching out for that left hand. He was leaning sideways when he got caught and dropped by it.
Right there, there's nowhere to go. I mean, he has to make him miss by going to the right, slipping and rolling up under that left hand.
Top Dog has not gone to the third round in his previous 2 pro fights. Round number 2 has been his gem, actually, in those fights where he's been able just to open up wildly. There you see wild punches from the outside, leaving his face wide open if Stevenson can find that hole. But Top Dog has power as well. It's basically who can land first. And a left connects solidly by Stevenson.
So far, it's been no comparison. Adonis Stevenson really doing damage with that left hand. Williams, so far, not able to find his own offense. You said he swung some wild shots, but no effective damage.
He's going to have to get that right hand up if he's not going to slip to the right. Man,
just missing the chin as Williams taps his chin, saying, come on, bring some more. Stevenson will certainly try and oblige.
Now he has those hands up, walking straight.
There you go.
Man. Now he's going to give himself a chance to land some shots here.
Step back.
Can he get Adonis Stevenson uncomfortable? Can he get him moving backward?
I think all he has to do is land a shot that gets the champion's attention. But again, he's a sitting duck for that straight left hand.
Yeah, Williams is opening up now. In one way or another, this thing doesn't have the look.
Oh, nice right.
Something that's going to go long. Williams scores and wildly throws and just barely misses it, but you can see that he's going for all or nothing.
Buckle up, guys.
Yep.
It's going to be a good one.
Buckle.
Williams starting to throw back.
I think Top Dog was onto something when he was walking with his hands straight up like that and getting close to the champion. There you go.
In its rawest essence, this is what the sport is. 2 men throwing the heaviest shots they possibly can. Who can remain standing?
What he's trying to do is kind of stifle that left hand, get inside of it. Adonis needs a little bit of range to throw. He likes the straight left. That requires some space. And Williams now trying to take it away from him.
Come Top Dog.
Stevenson trying to dodge the punches. A couple of them land.
I like his style right there. He got to keep those hands high and walk forward.
The crowd chanting Superman moments ago for the fighter who fights out of Montreal, about 2.5 hours away, resides in a suburb of Montreal.
If you thought this kid was going to lay down the first time he got hit, think again. But he can't do that.
There he gets inside. Hits Stevenson with a combination. The champ was staggered at the end of round 2. And some mugging by Top Dog. We got a fight on our hands. In round 1, Stevenson scored a knockdown. Round 2, the end of the round, Jimmy, some action by Top Dog.
Because he's changing the range, getting inside, throwing combinations. This is not where Adonis Superman Stevenson wants to fight. You see the confidence at the end, champ.
That's the shimmy shake, baby. That's when you know you're feeling good in there. I think Top Dog has found something with this new style.
2 entertaining rounds in the books. We're opening round number 3 live from Quebec. The WBC Light Heavyweight Championship is on the line. The man in the yellow trunks has not lost in 6 years.
If you notice something, when Williams is walking forward like that, it discourages Stevenson even throw the left hand because he doesn't see an opening.
How about this? Our unofficial scorekeeper, PBC historian Corey Erdman, scored it 10-8 in round 1 with the knockdown for Superman, but round 2 to Top Dog.
Adonis Stevenson, for all his power, he likes a clean left hand.
There was a left that made its way through.
Yeah, he likes space and he likes range, and Williams right takes that away from him.
2 rights get through on Superman.
Stevenson's being backed up right now. He don't like to fight off that back foot. I told you, Top Dog has found something. He has to stick to this plan, though.
Heavy left, even when it hits the guard, you can hear the noise through the arena. Top Dog, when he does his work, he does it quickly. 20-1 is his record. 14 wins by knockout. 13 of those 14 knockouts, 3 rounds or less. Here we are in round number 3.
He said he don't get paid extra for the extra round.
He doesn't get paid extra. He'd get paid a whole lot in this fight in the future if he could score the biggest win of his life. Williams Jr.'s corner yelling nothing when Superman threw that last left. Close quarter combat here. Williams missing over the top twice, but that's the distance that the guys have said favors the man in the purple.
You see the chant right now?
Oh, that was an uppercut, and then Stevenson scored and tried to finish it with an uppercut, but couldn't land. They're banging inside.
That hurt.
They are banging inside. Superman throws wildly and misses. Top Dog trying to regain his senses.
I told you, if you ever seen a fighter that gets hurt and be more dangerous when he's hurt, it's Top Dog Williams, man. He has a big heart, and all he knows how to do is fight back.
Williams, I think, complaining there was a headbutt somewhere in that exchange.
Been in close range a lot of this fight.
Oh,
Still fighting back. Good right hook.
a slugfest in Quebec. Welcome back. You see a knot above the left eyebrow of the challenger, Thomas Top Dog Williams. You'll see it when we get in close. Our referee, Michael Griffin, in between rounds, looked over and told us he ruled that was from a punch, not a headbutt. To my eyes, it looked like Williams Jr. was claiming that that damage was done by a headbutt. Well, that damage was done by a low blow, which sends Top Dog down to a knee, and Michael Griffin will give him the time required to recuperate.
Got a minute. Tell me real quick.
Good call, left hand.
Okay, let's
You know how brutal that left hand is. That one's gonna hurt.
Time in. I did. Time in. Don't worry about it. Box. Keep him up, Adonis.
That's a result of Adonis Stevenson going to the body a bit more. Nice hook.
These guys are throwing. They're opening up. They are not thinking about scorecards. They're both thinking about a knockout right now.
If Top Dog gonna fight like this, he's gonna have to land something big because those uppercuts, it's really destroying his eye. Ooh, good body shot by the champ.
There's a cut underneath the eye. Damage on the top of the eyebrow for Top Dog, and damage underneath the eye as well.
Adonis is going with the uppercut. He's going with the body shot. He knows Williams is doing well, reading that straight left, so he's pulling other tricks out of his bag. A lot of body work, a lot of inside work. A beautiful shot. The liver punch will take it right out of you.
Let him go. Watch your hands, guys. Stop.
A stoppage in the action will allow us to welcome those of you joining us at the 11 o'clock Eastern hour. The light heavyweight championship of the world is on the line. The man in the gold trunks, Adonis Superman Stevenson, holds the belt. Thomas Top Dog Williams Jr., the challenger, have exchanged huge blows through 3 rounds and change. Here in the 4th, we've already seen a knockdown for Superman in round number 1. Williams Jr. came back to inflict some punishment in the 2nd and 3rd. But Stevenson, his best weapon has been an uppercut here.
And man, is he ripping to the body. I'm talking about he's focusing on that body. But you got to take your hat off to Thomas Williams. He's facing a strong, big, strong man in there tonight. And it doesn't seem like anything is affecting Adonis Stevenson right now.
A good left hand again. These punches are just
body shot, down. Another body shot, and another by Superman. Oh! And that could be it. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Stevenson didn't even need to see the count. It is over. Superman retains the championship belt.
Thomas Williams Jr. took all he could handle. Uppercuts, body shots. They wore him down for that beautiful left hand.
Hey, guys, he was just outmanned tonight. It wasn't that he wasn't in the fight. He just was in there with a stronger, bigger puncher tonight. Superman, Adonis Stevenson, man, great job.
It was a war.
From start to finish. No kryptonite tonight.
I'm a beast.
I tell you what, guys, I know that light heavyweight division like none other.
Take a look at the replays of the fatal blow, guys.
We knew which side it would come from, the left hand. Look at it here.
Was that not a 6-inch punch?
Beautiful, close range shot, and Williams drops right to his knees. You drop face down, 9 times out of 10, that's all she wrote. Look at it here.
Timing.
Not a lot of wind-up on it.
Timing.
Bang!
Perfect shot.
Williams came in with the uppercut on the other side. Left him wide open, bang.
Listen, Thomas Williams may not be the biggest knockout puncher, but for Adonis Stevenson to take those type of shots and still have this type of power, I don't know what light heavyweight can stand in front of that.
He says it's the best left hand in the world. It just earned him another victory. The crowd loved every punch and every round. He goes to 28-1, and we'll hear the official announcement after this commercial break. The crowd at the Videotron Center buzzing. Adonis showing respect for his opponent, whom he knocked out with a furious left hand, the best in the business. The official announcement from Roland Maya.
La décision. The knockout comes at 2 minutes 54 seconds of round 4. Le gagnant par mise hors de combat à 2 minutes 54 secondes du 4e round. The winner and still WBC lightweight champion, le gagnant et toujours champion, numéro de la WBC, Adonis Superman Stevenson.
You see why the man has been called a megastar in the business, or at least a megastar in the making. Knockout power, plays to the crowd, keeps his record solid at 28-1. And Jimmy Smith is standing by with the man with $1 million smile and multi-million-dollar fists. Jimmy.
I'm here with your winner, Adonis Superman Stevenson. Thomas Williams Jr. didn't take a backward step in that fight. You called it fire fighting fire. How's it feel to come out on top?
Exactly, fire fight fire. That's what I'm doing. I see you put the pressure. I say, oh yeah, you want to put the pressure? I'm going to put the pressure too. So we're going all out, you know what I'm saying? So you do a good fight. You can punch the power puncher. And people saw with the power puncher what happened. You know when you have two guys can punch, this is what I say. You see a good spectacular. Do you like the show? I don't know you. Do you like the show? Oh yeah, Superman, he's in the building, baby.
How much did this crowd, this hometown crowd, they love this fight, they love the finish. How much did you feel that in here tonight?
I feel good, man, and you know, today is my daughter's birthday, so I said I got a motivation, so I offer my daughter Eliska the good gift.
A family man, a great fighter. Let's give it up for Adonis Superman Stevenson, ladies and gentlemen.
23rd knockout of his career. Champ, he said, hey, give me the Kovalev Ward winner.
Hey, listen.
There's rumors that he's going to fight Eleider, Alvarez.
It's a lot of great champions in the light heavyweight division, but this guy's the linear champion for a reason. I think he's too strong, too powerful, and I like to see him against any of those other light heavyweights. Superman, Adonis Stevenson, man, is the best light heavyweight in the world today.
Says one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time, Antonio Tarver.